ॐ वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां भिषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। नारायणं पद्मभुवं वसिष्ठं शक्तिं च तत्पुत्रपराशरं च व्यासं शुकं गौडपदं महान्तं गोविन्दयोगीन्द्रमथास्य शिष्यम् श्रीशङ्कराचार्यमथास्य पद्मपादं च हस्तामलकं च शिष्यम् तं तोटकं वार्तिककारमन्यान् अस्मद्गुरून् सन्ततमानतोऽस्मि। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयम् नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। अपारकरुणा सिन्धुं ज्ञानदं शान्तरूपिणम् श्रीचन्द्रशेखरगुरुं प्रणमामि मुदान्वहम्। यत्कृपालेशमात्रेण पुमान् पूर्णः प्रजायते तं वन्दे ब्रह्मविद्धुर्यं सद्गुरुं चन्द्रशेखरम्। साक्षात्कृतं दयानन्दं परमार्थस्वरूपिणम् तत्त्वज्ञानप्रशास्तारं प्रणतोऽस्मि परं पदम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्तगोचरं तमगोचरम्
सर्ववेदान्त सिद्धान्त
सिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरम्
तमगोचरम्
गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्।
गोविन्दं
गोविन्दं
परमानन्दं
परमानन्दं
सद्गुरुं
सद्गुरुं
प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्।
प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्।
पठन्तु शास्त्राणि यजन्तु देवान्
पठन्तु शास्त्राणि यजन्तु देवान्
कुर्वन्तु कर्माणि भजन्तु देवताः
कुर्वन्तु कर्माणि भजन्तु देवताः
आत्मैक्यबोधेन विना विमुक्तिः
आत्मैक्यबोधेन
आत्मैक्यबोधेन
विना
विनापि
विमुक्तिः
मुक्तिः
न सिद्ध्यति ब्रह्मशतान्तरेऽपि
न
न सिद्ध्यति
सिद्ध्यति
ब्रह्म
ब्रह्मशतान्तरेऽपि
शतान्तरेऽपि
अमृतत्वस्य नाशास्ति वित्तेनेत्येव हि श्रुतिः
अमृतत्वस्य
अमृतत्वस्य
नाशास्ति
नाशान्ति
वित्तेनेत्येव हि श्रुतिः
वित्तेनेत्येव हि श्रुतिः
प्रवीति कर्मणो मुक्तेरहेत्त्वं स्फुटं यतः
ब्रवीति
ब्रवीति
कर्मणो
मनो
मुक्ते
अहेतुत्वं स्फुटं
स्फुटं
यतः
यतः
अतो विमुक्त्यै प्रयतेत विद्वान्
अतो
अतो
विमुक्त्यै
विमुक्त्यै
प्रयतेत
प्रयतेत विद्वान्
विद्वान्
संन्यस्तबाह्यार्थसुखस्पृहः सन्
सन्न्यस्य
सन्न्यस्य बाह्यार्थ
ब्रह्मात्
सुखस्पृहः
सुखस्पृहः सन्
सन्
सन्तं महान्तं समुपेत्य देशिकम्
सन्दं
सन्तं महान्तं
महान्तम्
समुपेत्य
उत्पेत्य
देशिकम्
देशिकम्
तेनोपदिष्टार्थसमाहितात्मा
तेनोपदिष्टा
तेनोपदिष्टार्थसमाहितात्मा
समाहितात्मा
from the Shloka number 6 onwards. Atmajnanam vina muktihi na siddhyati. That is the topic. Yadi muktihi ichchati tarhi mukti sadhanam jnanam eva jnanam vina brahma shatantarepi muktihi na siddhyati. The problem being the ignorance. Ignorance is the problem. Therefore, the solution should be knowledge. The problem, that is samsara, for which the cause is ignorance. Samsara consists of janma, marana, jara, vyadi, all these upadrava, all these problems, all these troubles. It doesn't end with death or doesn't begin with janma. It is a continual problem. One may argue, how is that? To say it is this problem. There are some pleasures also. Yes, there are some pleasures, but it is like a few drops of honey, which the person who has fallen into a pit while walking in the jungle, as few drops of honey that the person experiences when while walking in the jungle, when he falls into a pit, that honey drop which comes from the honeycomb hanging at the top of the tree, and how much suffering he undergoes in that situation, but still he sticks out his tongue and wants to taste the honey. It's like that. It's a beautiful the metaphor is given in the Mahabharata. So samsara is also like that. The person who is lost in the forest of samsara, is walking the thick forest, lost his way. He falls into a pit, huge pit. and did not reach the bottom. He was hanging in, holding the creeper. He was caught in a creeper, in fact. At the bottom of the pit, there's a huge snake with its fangs ready to bite him. And the person he was holding the creeper of a huge tree. At the top of the pit, there comes the elephant, huge elephant, with the six trunks, and there is a tiger also ready to devour him. So, like that, the description is beautiful. Description is given. All this stands for certain things. The two elephants comes. The two elephants stands for Dakshinayanam and Uttarayanam, and the snake, which is the bottom, stands for death. And also there are two types of rats, white rat and black rat. They are eating the creeper. So therefore he is losing his hold also. So like that, a description is given. And the person is hanging, is losing his grip, slowly falling into the mouth of death. So when he fell into the pit, that time he disturbed the honeycomb. Therefore, a few drops of honey slips, it is drops from the tree. And in the process, honeybee also, a swarm of honeybees comes and bites him. But and all he did not bother, but he wants to enjoy the honey, a few drops of honey. Therefore, he sticks out his tongue and wants to taste it. This is how our samsara is also. In spite of having so much problem, the person still looks for happiness in the world. That is due to ajnana. Not realizing that it is problem with some sukham. It is kada chitta sukham. Dukkam, and then sukham, a light sukham, and then continual, again dukkam only. So sukham comes in between. Therefore, he wants to have sukham all the time. Therefore, he explores all possible ways. But samsara is not like that. This is the truth. This is not to create any dejection, but the fact. This is how samsara is described also, and this is the fact also. As we live in the world and face the world, we know what samsara is. Samsara is saraha nasti. There is no sara in this samsara. It is substanceless. That's the truth. But to realize that, one has to do a lot of Viveka analysis, because one always he sees something in this samsara which doesn't have sara. Something sara he sees. That sara is really you probe. It is asara only. Janma dukkam, jara dukkam, jaya dukkam, punah punaha samsaram, sagaram dukkam, tasmat, jagrata. So this being the problem, samsara being the problem, and the cause is ajnanam. Therefore, an intelligent person, what should he do? Bring the work first knowledge and get moksha, get freedom. Freedom is not getting transported into a loka where you are served by beautiful damsels or you enjoy everything, nice dishes. It is not. Freedom is knowing that you are not bound. That can be only the form of knowledge. Therefore, all the other methods which people consider to be the means for moksha, they are mercilessly dismissed. They are not shown any mercy, because we are talking about moksha. When it comes to moksha, when it comes to freedom, there is no accommodation for any other sadhana, any other means. We don't accommodate bhakti, we don't accommodate karma, we don't accommodate any other. Doesn't mean they are useless. That is what the previous shloka said, we saw Patantu Shastrani. We don't dismiss Patantu Shastrani. Of course, Aparavidya also important. Aparavidya, that is a secondary knowledge. Anything other than Brahmajnanam, Atmaika Bodhaha, anything other than Atma Bodha, they are Aparavidya. We dismiss them. That this the sense it is not the means for moksha. Not that it is not required, not that it is useless. It is useless, it is useful in certain ways. It is useful for earning money, or it is useful even to understand the Paravidya, the Veda, like Aparavidya, which is of Vyakaranam, Shiksha, Jyotisha, etc. Kalpaha, Niruttam, Chandaha. These are Aparavidya, Shat Angani, we call. These are useful in understanding the Veda and therefore the Vedanta. Only useful to that extent. But they themselves cannot give moksha. They are useful tools. All Aparavidya are like that. Any Vidya, any branch of knowledge, physics, physics knowledge or chemistry knowledge or any professional knowledge, whatever knowledge, they are useful for certain things, but it cannot be the means for the end which we are talking about. In that sense, we dismiss. Therefore, we dismiss karma also. It doesn't mean karma is not required. Karma is required for antakarna shuddhi. Without antakarna shuddhi, moksha is ruled out. Jnanam cannot take place in an antakarna which is not ready for receiving the knowledge. Therefore, karma is required as a yoga, is to be practiced by a sadhaka, by a mumukshu, very diligently. In fact, the entire Gita talks about on karma. So karma all plays a role, bhakti has a role, everything has a role. But when it comes to moksha, there is no alternate for jnanam. Therefore, we dismiss other means which are considered to be the means. That is due to ajnanam, they consider them to be means. Therefore, to give a clarity, therefore, we restate and we dismiss also. Because unless we get to know that the means to moksha is only knowledge, we keep doing the same thing forever. One has to grow. We start with the life being a yogi, karma yogi. We grow to be a jnana yogi. Understand that jnanam, that jnanam received from the Guru Mukha, from the mouth of the teacher, because the jnanam which is not obtained, it is not obtainable, not available for the human beings, because it's a pramanam. The pramanam is outside of us. We operate only with pancha pramanani, pancha paurushaya pramanani, pratyaksha, anumana, upamana, arthapati, and anupalabdhi. These are the five pramanas, five means of knowledge with which we operate and get to know things. But to know Atma, what is the means of knowledge? Don't have the means of knowledge. It is available only with the teacher. Teacher who has got from his teacher, and his teacher has got from his teacher. Therefore, it is a parampara. The pramanam being shastram, the means of knowledge. Every knowledge requires a means of knowledge. Without a means of knowledge, without pramanam, there cannot be knowledge. You want to see the rose flower, the color of the rose, or you want to identify that it is a rose, you have to use eyes. Eyes are the pramanam. Rupa jnanam va, varna jnanam va, chakshuhu pramanam bhavati. Similarly, this for recognizing the sound, ears are the pramanam, the means of knowledge. Similarly, for Atma Jnanam, Jiva Brahma Aikya Jnanam, Shastram is the Pramanam. Shastre Pramanya Buddhihi, that is called Shraddha. Shraddha is not faith or belief. It is, we don't believe our eyes. We open the eyes and see the objects. It's a belief. It is not a belief. It is knowledge. It is, the eyes are the only means of knowing the object's form or color. What else we have? We don't, it's not a belief. I believe that I have a rose in my hand. No, it's not a belief. It's a fact. Yeah, I use in my eyes. We don't say it's a belief. Similarly, Pramanam also, Shastra Pramanam also is not what Shastra says. That is, or that. It's not a belief. It is what we call Shraddha. Shraddha is intranslatable. It's an intranslatable word. There are many words like that which are not translatable. Therefore, for Jnanam, Shastram is required, and Shastram alone is not sufficient. And the one who can teach us the Shastra. So, to, for gaining the knowledge, one is preparedness is required. That is in the form of Karma Yoga. Everything since can be categorized as karma. Therefore, with Yoga Buddhi as a worship, as an offering to the Lord, karma should be done. Karma Yoga should be done. By that, Antakarna Shuddhi is gained. Then having gained Antakarna Shuddhi, the mind should be made relatively pure. That is what Antakarna Shuddhi, free from likes and dislikes, Raga Dvesha. The mind should be relatively tranquil, relatively peaceful, relative happiness. It should be contented. The person but should enjoy sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, which is going to be talked about. That person, having realized the fact that ajnanam is the cause and jnanam is a means, then what should he do? Therefore, and also having known this samsara, effects of samsara, yataha, therefore ataha, therefore, that intelligent person, vidwan, that is why the word vidwan is important. All the descriptions, whatever I said, it is for the word vidwan. Vidwan means the one who is an informed person. Informed person, intelligent person, buddhiman ityartaha. That person, ataha, therefore, yataha, yasmat, since, due to since, for the reasons said, therefore, ataha, therefore, he should work for moksha. Vimuktiyai prayateta. Prayateta, may he work for vimukti. Vimukti, mukti, moksha. Vimuktiyai prayateta. The words here, second line, the words are qualifier to Vidwan. The Vidwan is qualified. Vidwan is Viveki. Nitya Nitya Vastu Viveki. Without Viveka, there cannot be Vairagya. So therefore, Viveka Vairagya they go together. Viveka is required. Vairagya is dispassion for the pleasures of the world. Not that one should shun all the pleasures. Doesn't mean that. It must be objective. All legitimate pleasures are allowed. Shastra doesn't deny that. And understand that pleasures, whatever sukham we derive from the sense objects, they are subject to change. They are not nitya, they are anitya. See to that it doesn't cause bondage. You don't get addicted to it. And should learn to survive, should learn to live comfortably even without that. But doesn't happen that generally we get bound by that. That is also a dosha, bandhakatvam. And it doesn't satisfy us also forever. The same thing which was an object of desire and that was giving us some sukham in course of time, that becomes a source of dukkham also. Therefore, that which was looked upon as sukham, now it is dukkham, causes strain. as Swamiji rightly, beautifully says, the beginning, the person says, I love you, and later, I allow you. Being overpowered by moha, the person loves, he says, I love you, and later, that is not he or she not the source of sukham anymore, the source of dukkham. Therefore, allow you. Allow you means I allow you to leave from my life. That is love then. It is what we see with the colored eyes. The person being as he is, we have lost our objective outlook. This is not with regard to only to the person, with regard to the things, everything. Therefore, Vairagya is being objective, and that is should be backed by Viveka. So, Vairagya without Viveka is Smashana Vairagya. It doesn't last for long. When there is some bereavement, we have a lot of Vairagya. What is this world? This world is nothing, Shunya. Also, Samsare Saraha Nasti. All these dialogues will give. But it lasts only for a few days, a few moments, a few hours. The moment we leave this Smashana, then that thought also disappears. Again, get back to the normal life. Smashana Vairagya. That is why Viveka should be, the Vairagya should be backed up by Viveka. That is why the word Vidwan is a beautiful word. Intelligently, the Acharya also has placed it here. Viveka is the first qualification required for a sadhaka. That is why Vidwaniti. He is endowed with the knowledge of Nitya Vastu and Anitya Vastu. Distinction of, he is well aware of the differences between what is Shashvatam and Ashashvatam, Nitya and Anitya. Therefore, that Vidwan, Vimukti, Prayateta, may he work for moksha. And further, the other words, Sanyasta Bhagyartha Sukastrakasan. Sanyasta Bhagyartha Sukastrakasan. So, Bhagya Artha. Bhagya Artha, Bhagya Vishaya. Artha is Vishaya. Bhagya Artha. Sukha, the pleasure, which is derived from the Bhagya Artha, the external sense objects. Sanyasta, given up. Therefore, it stands for Vairagyam. So, Spriha is longing for the Sukha which are extracted out of the sense objects which are external. And that is Sanyasta, which is given up. Sanyasta, you can note some plus Nyasta. So that some Anuswara must be there. Either Anuswara or one more Nakara, double Nakara. In some books, you will see Sa without that Anuswara. That's okay, fine. But only one Nakara will be there. Sanyasa or Sanyasta. That is wrong. So please note those who know grammar. San, there is some plus ni. Suppose some plus ni both are upasarga. Some Makara is there, that become Anuswara. And ni, there also Nakara is there. Suppose there should be double Nakara or there should be one Anuswara and one Nakara. Without Anuswara, only one Nakara is wrong. You can note that is small point, but it is significant because in some books it is given like that. So Sanyasta, some plus ni, samyak nischayena. Well and for sure. It is nyast. It is asta. Asta means to throw. Asyati, kshipati, throws away. It throws away means it throws away from where? From his mind. Therefore, it is vairagyam. It throws away the longing for the desire of the external objects, the pleasure which are derived, which are comes from the external objects. That longing he throws away. Therefore, he is vairagi. There is no asakti for there is no raga for the vishayas. This word qualifies the word vidwan. It is the description of the person. Sanyasta bhagyartha Praga is the Pradipadika. Sanyastabhagyata Sukaspragaha Pratama Vibhakti Ekavachananta Rupam. Vidwan, Pradipadikam is Vidvas Sakaranta Shabda. Vidwan, Vidvamso, Vidvamsaha. Vidwan is qualified by, Vidwan is Visheshyam, then noun, it's a substantive. Adjective is Sanyasta Bhagyata Sukaspragaha. Sanyasta Bhagyata Sukaspragau. Sanyasta Bhagyata Sukaspragaha. Iti Karanta Pullinga Shabdaha. Sun means it is Shatranta Pratama Ekavachanam. Sun, being, that's the meaning, being. So Sanyasta Bhagya. Therefore, the person must be a Viveki. Being a Viveki and a Vairagi, Ataha, therefore, let the person work for moksha. How does he work? Where is the means of knowledge? Working for moksha, how can he do? So takes up some book from his bookshelf or buy some book from the market, some Upanishad, and let him study on its own. That will be a most dangerous thing. Shastrajñopi Brahman Veshnam Swatantrena na kuryat. Acharya Shankar Bhagavad Pada says, even if the person is a Shastrajña, knows Shastram, studies Shastram, has got knowledge of the Shastram, that person should not make any attempt to study Vedanta Shastram by himself. Suppose if the person studies and he starts teaching, no one should go and listen to such a person's teaching also. That is also Bhagavad Pada only says, Asampradayavata Murkavata Upekshaniyaha, dismissed. The one who doesn't come under the Sampradaya, and if he teaches, his teaching should be mercilessly discarded. Because he doesn't, not that he doesn't have the authority, or he does, he may not, because he studied on his own. Therefore, what is the guarantee that he has understood the Shastram as it was, as it is, as it is conveyed by the Shastram? What is the guarantee? Because there are so many contradictory words are there in the Shastram. Unless the person knows how to reconcile and how to, and also the Shastram, when he reveals the Mahavakyam, how to understand the Mahavakyam, all these requires some prakriya. Therefore, knowledge of the prakriya, the teaching methodology, all these things are involved. The person cannot know of its own. It is a pramanam. He doesn't have any knowledge of how to operate it, how to unlock the words of the Shastra. Therefore, he must resort to whom? Santam Mahantam Samapetya Deshikam Samutpetya. Deshika is Guru, teacher, Acharya. And Acharya is Santam. He is a Santaha. He is a saintly person, spiritual person. Mahantam. Mahantam is a great person, a saintly person. Santam, Mahantam. Samupretya, Samyak Upretya. Samupretya. Approaching the teacher. Upasadanam. Upasadanam is Samipe Gatva. That is Upa. That's why Upanishad. Upanishad is the word. Upa is near. Approaching. Approaching whom? Approaching the teacher. Approaching the person who is a Sampradaya with you, who has studied Shastram the traditional way from a teacher. Traditional way means he must have learned from a teacher, from his teacher. And he must have learned from his teacher. That's it from Sampradaya. So all the way the knowledge comes from the Adi Guru Dakshinamurti down the tradition. So therefore, the Upa Samipe, Ni for stands for Nischay Jnanam. By that, Shadalu, the word Upanishad, Upa Ni Shad Dhatu. Shadalu is destroyer. Nischay Jnanam destroys the Ajnanam. Ajnanam is the cause that is destroyed for sure by approaching the teacher. Approaching the teacher not just by approaching and sitting at the feet of the teacher. Person should go and ask for the knowledge. Tadvitti pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Approaching the teacher and ask for this knowledge. You should present the problem. All these things here, Vivekachudamani Acharya will give. All these this is a protocol. The protocol is given by Acharya himself in the Vivekachudamani. Later it will come. The student will go, approach the teacher and ask 8 questions. So this is what we find in all the Upanishads also. Student approaching the teacher. Samupetya, Samikupetya, Upasadanam, Upanayanam. All these are same thing. Upanayanam. There are also Upanayanam. Nayanam is taking. Therefore, father takes his son, the kid. Where? To the Shastram. How? In the form of initiating into the Gayatri Mantra. That is called Upanayanam. Nayanam is Nidhatu, leading, taking. It's an abstract noun. That in the form of initiating the son into Gayatri Mantra so that he gets a privilege of studying the Shastram. The person gets the privilege of studying the Shastram only when he is initiated into Gayatri, otherwise no. Therefore, his samskara, his Veda Adhyanam starts with the samskara, Gayatri, Padesha. That's why Upanayanam iti. Therefore, here the person wants to gain the knowledge, wants to know the knowledge which is the means for moksha. Therefore, he must approach a guru, Deshika, the one who teaches Shastram Upadishati iti Deshikaha. What kind of the Deshika is a Santam? The person is a competent, is a qualified. Teacher also must be qualified. Student qualification, he must be Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampannaha. He must be endowed with the fourfold qualifications. What are those fourfold qualifications? Though we know, already seen in Tattvabodha and Vedanta, some other texts, but if Acharya here is going to present those. Here he says Santam. Santam is the teacher also must be qualified. What is the qualification for a teacher? He must be a Shotriya and Brahmanishta. Shotriyam Brahmanishtam. Samitpanagi Shotriyam Brahmanishtam. Parikshalokan Karmachitan Brahmanaha. Nirvedamaya Nastikratakrutena Tat Vijnanatam Sa Gurumeva Bigachit Samitpanagi Shotriyam Brahmanishtam. The student must approach the teacher with Samit in his hand. The Samit is that the twigs, the dried twigs, he must carry in his hand, approach the teacher. The dried twig stands for his readiness to receive the teaching. Symbolic representation. The dry twig, and it catches fire immediately. Similarly, the student says, I am also like that. I will catch the fire of knowledge which you give me. If you give me. So that symbolic representation. Or maybe in those days, the Gurukula, every day some Nitya Karma Homa will be going on, some Nitya Naimittika Karma. Therefore, twigs are required, right twigs. Therefore, the student takes dry twigs with Samit Panihi. That is a protocol. Samit Panihi. Shotriyam Brahmanishtam Samupetya. We must approach the teacher who is Shotriya and Brahmanishta. Who is Shotriya? Shotriya is one who has listened to the Shastram from his teacher. So, Shotriya, yes, because he has listened to the teacher, therefore he knows how to communicate the teaching. It requires some, not communication skill means how to improve your communication, not that is the communication here. One should not carry it over by the flowery words all these mystical people, they talk with a very flowery language. Even spiritual, modern spiritual gurus use nice language, beautiful English or Hindi, whatever it is, or even Sanskritam also. But that doesn't mean that person is Shotriya. That doesn't mean. But Shotriya meaning the person must have understood the Shastram, must have listened to the Shastram from his teacher. He knows how to interpret, how to present. That is the Shotriya. The person knows Adhyaropa Apavada method, for example. He knows the method of the superimposition and desuperimposition. He could communicate so clearly and present that this samsara, this Jagat is Jagat Karanam Brahma, and that Brahma Tatutvam Asi. It is negating the reality which is attributed to this Jagat. It is seemingly real, not really real, making the students see that it is Mithya. Mithya means not that it doesn't exist. Mithya means it is like the Rajju Sarpa, the snake that which is superimposed on the rope. Actually, it is a rope, but because of semi-darkness, the person recognizes to be a snake and therefore is upright. Similarly, this Jagat also, the reality which is attributed to this Jagat is removed and then make the person see it is nothing but Ishvara alone, Brahma Eva. Entire Jagat is Bhagavan Ishvara alone. Yeah. It is not the cause for samsara. When that is removed, when everything is Bhagavan, then there is. And that when everything is Bhagavan, it includes you also. You cannot be away from Bhagavan. You cannot be an entity which is different from Bhagavan. Everything is Bhagavan, everybody is included, all things are included, including you. Therefore, what is there is only Bhagavan Ishvara. That is samsara then. Therefore, it is a teaching methodology. Therefore, Shotriyaha, and Brahmanishtaha. Brahmanishtaha, the person must be having, must have Nishta, must have, must have, must have observed, must have Nishta, Itaram Sitihi. You must have established, must be established in this knowledge, not carried over by the samsara. Never steps away from this knowledge. That is Brahmanishta. Therefore, Shotriya Brahmanishta, it is the qualification of a Deshika, the teacher. Suppose if the person is not a Shotriya, only Brahmanishta, the person is a Brahmanishta, he is a Jnani, he is free, he has got is Muktaha, always absorbed in himself, but the person cannot teach. He doesn't have the means of communication. What will he teach? He's not a Shotriya. Therefore, he lacks communication. Therefore, that person cannot teach. Therefore, Shotriya is very important. The person must be a Shotriya if he wants to teach. Or the person who approaches the person, the mumukshu who approaches the teacher must be a Shotriya. If the person is only a Brahmanishta, then he cannot receive any knowledge from the Brahmanishta, or whatever he says may not be complete because he doesn't know or doesn't have the method of unfolding this knowledge. Therefore, only we say the person must be Shrotriya and Brahmanishta. It's very important. So that is why we always caution approaching the mystics. They say words, all are true only, but hearing those words, we may get some satisfaction or some peace that moment, but it will not give us moksha. It will not give us a knowledge to take us to moksha. So therefore, Shrotriya is important. Any person for that matter. So therefore, Acharya, Upasadanam and learning from the teacher is important. If the person is a Shrotra Brahmanishta, that person is qualified person for teaching. Otherwise, no. Even if the person is not a Brahmanishta, if he is a Shrotriya, he can communicate. Brahmanishta is his problem, but he is a Shrotriya. Therefore, he can teach. He is also practicing Nishta. Therefore, may not be a Brahmanishta, but Shrotriya. Therefore, Shrotriya is an important qualification on the part of the teacher. Therefore, one must exercise caution when receiving knowledge from the person. The person is not a Shrotriya, then the person can do namaskara from a distance and then just leave. There is no point in being with with the Brahmanishta and not learning. This his grace will flow through his eyes or by touch, the person will elevate. All these things we don't accept. Nobody can give a moksha by touching or by seeing and all. Because moksha is only through knowledge when we say. By touch, this netra diksha, asta diksha, by touching and all. How this will happen? It cannot happen. That is so. Then by his grace, all must have got liberation. Maybe by his grace or by touch, certain things could happen. His blessings is maybe conveyed. Certain impediments, obstructions which are there in the student or in the disciple, that may be reduced or may be removed. But moksha is only through jnanam. And jnanam requires shastram. Shastram requires teacher. This is how it is. So therefore, there is no shortcut method. The person or some stories we hear, the person maybe the student must be a highly, of a greater, highly qualified person, but because of some obstacles, some hindrances, something causing some obstacles in giving the knowledge. So that an obstacle that may be by seeing or by touching, that obstacle in the elevated Guru Brahmanishta can remove. Possible. The removal of obstacle doesn't mean jnana prapti, doesn't mean gaining the knowledge. Because the obstacles are removed, since there are no obstacles now the person can expose himself to the study of Shastram, or just by listening to the words of Shastram, you are that. That could be in any language. Tatutomasi in English, Aham Brahmasmi, or you are that. Tatutomasi in Sanskritam, Shmita, or you are that, whatever it is, in whichever language it is. Because now all the obstacles have gone. The person has already done homework, maybe in the previous Janma, because of some obstacles, some unknown slight obstacle is deprived of that knowledge, and that obstacle is removed by the grace of the teacher. Now, the moment that Upadesha he receives, Tatutomasi, he is free. There was one story, I don't remember the name of the person. The king was there. The king asked a guru, is not a person, he did not accept him as a guru. He just met some person. What is that you are teaching? I'm teaching Gita. What does Gita teach us? Gita is Gita teaches Atma Jnanam. What is the use of that knowledge? We get free, become Muktaha. Then you please teach me. Then as per the protocol, everything he did. The moment he started teaching the first chapter is only context. So there is no jnanam in that. There is no message in that. Second chapter, up to 38 Shloka only. Then Raja told, stop here. I understand what Gita says. He left because the Raja was ready for it. He got the Jnanam up to 13th shloka, from 11th shloka up to 13th shloka only, with Sankhya Yoga. He understood and he became Muktaha. Raja was already prepared for this Jnanam because of his previous karma, previous homework. He has done homework maybe in previous Janma. Being prepared the moment he heard, become Muktaha. So the preparation, so therefore that may be possible, but knowledge is only, the moksha is only through knowledge. There is no alternate way. Therefore, such a basic, therefore the student to approach such a teacher who is Santam, Mahantam, compassionate. The teacher must be compassionate. Compassionate only can teach. The teacher understands the sincerity, the longing, the yearning for the of the student. Therefore, out of compassion, because the teacher also must have undergone through all these process steps in his life. Therefore, he has empathy. Therefore, he teaches. Teaching requires compassion. Teaching is cannot be done without compassion, without generosity. That is why we have respect for the teachers in our tradition. That's why daya, nanda, without dayaluhu, kripa sindhu, all these, the appellation for the guru, it is we give because the teacher has compassion for the student, therefore teaches. Therefore, Mahantam stands for dayaluhu ityartaha. Therefore, having approached a teacher, tena, acharyena, deshikena, tena, or tena could be, tena, tena better to take it as acharyena, that is better. Tena, acharyena, deshikena, upadishtartha samahitatma, that word also qualifies the vidwan, the sadhaka, the buvukshu. The vidwan, sanyasta, bhagyata, sukaspragaha, upadishtartha samahitatma, referring to the person. Upadishtasya artha, upadishtartha, the artha, the meaning. The meaning of the teaching. Upadishta is what is taught. That is upadesha. On the teaching, samyak agita atma. Some agita atma. Atma is the person. The person is antakaranam. Atma stands for antakaranam, mind. Here Atma stands for antakaranam, the mind. The mind is absorbed in the artha, in the teaching of taught. What is taught? In the teaching of the teaching, in the meaning of the teaching. The person, antakaram, the mind is absorbed in the teaching. So, tena, by that, the person becomes absorbed in the teaching. Therefore, upadishtartha samahitatma. So, approach the teacher, being qualified, he approaches the teacher and gets upadesha from the teacher, and his antakaranam is completely, some means completely well absorbed in the teaching of the Shastram. Therefore, Shavanam, approaching the teacher and asking for knowledge and getting knowledge, Shavanam. Then he does Mananam, contemplates on the teaching, reflects. Mananam is the process, recollecting, recollection, remembrance of the teaching, and removing all the possible doubts to have Shraddha in the teaching. No doubt. If doubt is there, then the teaching is not, the teaching cannot be fully imbibed. Therefore, making the knowledge doubt free, that is called Mananam. Then Nididhyasanam, that is Upadishtartha Samahitatma. Absorbed in this knowledge. Nididhyasanam, it is. It is called meditation. That is what meditation is. Meditating on the teaching so that the person gets nishta, absorption in the knowledge. When he gets absorbed in this knowledge, he understands the truth, crystal clear, therefore he is free, becomes free. Having discovered the fact that Aham Jagat Karanam Brahma Aham Asmi, Aham Atma iti. This body, mind, senses, everything, all these are, they come and go, but I am free from all. The person enjoys freedom while living in the world. And after Maranam, he doesn't come back. Because once Aham Atma, this knowledge is gained, I'm no more a Karta, no more a doer. In spite of doing, I continue to be a non-doer. Who does? That Ahankara is removed by this Ajnanam. Therefore, who is a doer? In spite of doing, he doesn't do. Kurvanapi na karoti. Therefore, he becomes free. Therefore, he becomes muktaha. Therefore, there is no coming back for that person. Why does a person come back? Because the person has karma. Lots of karma are stored. Sanchita karma. That is why a person returns back to the world in any form of jiva, and has to reap the karma. But this person, because of jnanam, all the karmas, they are waiting, but there is no one to claim that karma. Person doesn't have doership, kartrutvam. Therefore, those karmas gets destroyed without being claimed by the person. Person is no more available now. Therefore, it doesn't return back. Therefore, after jnanam, he lives. He lives in the world. As long as his prarabdha is there, he lives in the world. Really, that is moksha, jivan muktihi. After maranam, he doesn't come back at all. Videka muktihi. Therefore, the purpose of life is achieved. Janma. That is what Janma Sapalyam. We say Janma Sapalyam. Sapalatvam is achieved. Now, the commentary. It's a beautiful commentary. There, the Chandrasekhara Bharati Tirtha Swami beautifully explains the shloka, explains each word what it is. Vidvaniti, Nitya Nitya Viveki Tatitaha. Who is a Vidwan? Not Tavil Vidwan, Ataswara Vidwan. That is not a Vidwan here. Yet Vidwan is Nitya Nitya Viveki. Vivekin Nakaranta Shabda. Viveki, Vivekino, Vivekinaha. Inanta, like Karin. Vivekaha, Asya Astiti, Vivekin. What Viveki? Nitya, Anitya. Nitya, Nityascha, Nityascha. Nitya, Nityayoho. Vivekaha. Asya Astiti, Nitya, Nitya Vastu. Vivekin, Viveki, Nitya, Nitya Vastu, Viveki. The one who has Viveka, discriminative knowledge with regard to Nitya Vastu and Anitya Vastu. What is Nityam? The definition of Nityam is that which doesn't change in three periods of time, that which exists in all the three periods of time, which was in the past and it is now and it will continue to be in the future. What is that? Bhagavan says in the Gita, in the 12th shloka of the second chapter, after he says, Ashochan Anvashochastam, Natvevahum Jatunasam, Nattam Neme Janadipaha, Nachaiva Nabhavishyamaha, Sarve Vayamatah Param. There was never a time which I did not exist, nor you. There will never be a time which you will not exist, I will not. Means we all exist forever. Atma exists forever. That is Nitya Vastu, Atma. Everything else is because we have the perception of things other than Atma. Therefore, we have to say they are Anitya. They do not exist forever. This is to begin with. Later you will see even Anitya Vastu also cannot sustain on by itself. Anitya Vastu finally reduces to Nitya Vastu only. Therefore, what is there is only Atma. Everything is Ishvara. In the beginning, we have to say Atma, Anatma. Later, Anatma, if you analyze, it also will reduce to Atma. How can Anatma sustain without Atma? If Anatma is also is there, Atma is also is there, then two things. Like Sankhya, Prakriti and Purusha, Sankhya Darshana, Prakriti and Purusha become Dvaitam. Anatma also, we'll see later when we further the teaching happens. Anatma also is Atma only. Anatma reduces to Atma. Without Atma, Anatma cannot live, cannot sustain itself. But in the beginning, this person is a sadhaka, is a mumukshu. Therefore, he has to recognize the Nitya Vastu and shun the Anitya Vastu so that he gains Vairagya, Viveka Vairagya. That is the idea. Therefore, Vidwan. Yehi Sansparshja Bhogat Dukkhayo Nagyayevate Adyantavanta Kaunte Yanateshu Ramate Buddha. It is from the Bhagavad Gita, 5th chapter. Beautiful shloka it is. Ye Samsparshja Bhogaha Adyavantaha Teshu Buddha na Ramate. Buddha is Vidwan. That is why Acharya quotes here. Buddha is the one who is knowledgeable. Vidwan ityartaha. The intelligent person. The intelligent person, what he will do? He will not revel in the bhoga. Bhoga is objects of enjoyment. Why? Because these are dukkha yonayaha. These are the causes of pain. They cause pain alone. Dukkha yoni. Dukkha yonayaha. All the enjoyments, all the objects of enjoyments. And these enjoyments, bhoga, are born out of what? Samsparajada, because of the contact. Samsparsh, Sparshena jayate, samsparshat jayate, iti samsparshajaha. Born of the contact of the sense organs with the sense objects. These five sense organs we have: eyes, nose, ear, touch, and the taste, the tongue. And five sense objects are in the form of Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha outside. So when they come into contact, there is Ananda, there is Bhoga, there is enjoyment. But these are the causes of Dukkham. And these are subject to Adyantavantaha. They arrive and they depart. They don't live forever. The Sukha, what it gives, it's only temporary. It comes and goes away. Dukkham also, but most of the time Dukkham will be there. That is how the objects are. E Kaunteya, E Partha, Buddha, intelligent person, na teshu ramate, will not revel in those bhogeshu, bhoga vishayeshu, naramate. He will not revel, he will not delight in that sukham. Buddha. Iti Gita su Buddha shabdena artasya asya suchitatvat. The meaning of the word Buddha, which is told in the Gita, it is what is here by the word Vidwan is indicated. Suchitatvat. Further, Vyakhyanam commentary we will see the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Dhanyavadah.
धन्यवाद सर.
आचार्य जी
धन्यवाद जी.
धन्यवाद गुरुजी
धन्यवादः जी.
धन्यवाद.